Hello, everybody. Welcome. I am Kim Hughes, and this is the January 8th edition of Saying Crypto Live. Almost forgot the name of my own show. Anyway, if you are a replay listener, um, first of all, I want to say thank you for taking a minute to join us and watch the video. If you would just take a second and down below in the comments, tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, how long you've been interested in crypto, are you invested, and the other thing I'm really interested in is, are you interested just as an investor, meaning, which is my perspective, right? I mean, the underlying technology is all well and good, but I'm an investor first and foremost. I'm here to make money. Or do you come at it more from the technology side, social implications, etc.? I'd love to know the answer to that. So again, down below in the comments. So today's topic is 3 things that I believe about Bitcoin that others think are crazy. Now, why do we care if there are 3 things that I believe that other people think are crazy? Well, I'll tell you why. Because these 3 things, first of all, you never make money going with the crowd. That's number 1. Okay, but these 3 things very specifically make me and my students money, and they cost the people who don't believe them money, or people who don't understand them money. And that's why I want you to at least consider them and try them on and see what you think. So as I said, there's 3 of them. Number 1 is that bubbles are good. Okay. So I had a post on my Facebook page the other day, and someone posted a comment, and it was effectively, I think this is pretty close. The quote was, "Only a fool would invest in this stuff." Fair enough. But I actually, he didn't say why he was holding that opinion. Maybe because he thought, Bitcoin wasn't real, or all manner of things. But most people, what scares them away from it is the volatility, and the fact that it's, quote, a bubble, and that causes them to roll their eyes back and their hair lights on fire and they run away screaming, right? But I actually completely and totally disagree. So one, bubbles are good because they bring capital in to fuel new technology and innovation. In fact, you could argue that no, for whether it's railroads, steel, the internet, blockchain, that no, majorly disruptive technology was brought to bear without a bubble, right? It's a chance to throw a lot of ideas against the wall and let the free market decide which ones are going to stick. Okay, and without some sort of kind of frenzy, that probably isn't going to happen. Now, okay, those are all well and good. But again, remember I said I'm an investor first and foremost. I'm not in it for the technology. I want to make money. And bubbles are, quite frankly, an opportunity for outsized returns. Sometimes once in a generation returns while they last, which is a key point. We'll talk about it in a minute. So just because you might think that this is a bubble, and I believe that it is an investable bubble, it's not a reason to avoid investing, assuming that you have risk capital to invest. Okay. So the second thing that I believe is that Bitcoin absolutely, positively has a place in a retirement portfolio. It should not just be dismissed out of hand as having a fit in someone's retirement portfolio. Now, again, the assumption here is that whether it's a retirement portfolio or not, that you would only ever invest risk capital, meaning capital that you could afford to lose. Okay. But there's two reasons why I think that it's a fit in a retirement portfolio, and I think you have to consider it in your retirement portfolio. Most people have most of their assets in their IRAs, right? So this would have to be in a self-directed IRA, right? But for one, it is a totally uncorrelated asset class. So that gives some diversification. Okay. And that may be more important over the long run than the short run. But the big reason, right? The 400-pound gorilla in the room is the outsized returns for now. And here's the thought process. So let's just say that I invest $50,000 of risk. And by the way, I believe that your maximum exposure to cryptocurrency should never be more than 2% of your investable assets. Okay, so let's just take that as a starting point. Now, let's just say then that based on that, within that parameter, I invest $50,000 of risk capital in Bitcoin or crypto. Okay, and so the thing is that upside downside skew is super compelling. What do I mean by that? What I mean is that if tomorrow the market goes to zero, and it could, right? Then, and I lose all $50,000 tomorrow, because it's risk capital, by definition, what that means is that it would not have a meaningful impact on my future standard of living. It wouldn't affect any relationship. My spouse is okay with my investing it. Okay. It was money that I'm going to hate losing, but will not have a meaningful impact. However, if you look at, I don't have the graph. I wish I should have brought it up. Okay. If you look at the returns, well, I'll just, give you an example. So I have, I'm holding a little bit of Ethereum. So that Ethereum has basically doubled in price in just about a month, right? Since before Christmas. So, and, the returns of the market, of Bitcoin in 2017 were over 300%. Okay. So if, and you can take the rule of 72 and look at stock market type returns, which are traditionally like about the highest returns that a traditional investor could expect. Rule of 72 says you divide the number 72 by your rate of return, and it will tell you how long it'll take your money to double. So just keeping it simple, if the stock market returns 10%, which is a little high over time, that's but still, then it takes 7 years for your money to double. Okay. In this market, it's possible. In fact, my Ethereum, right, has doubled in a little bit over a month. That's what I mean. So if I take 50,000, here was my point. If I take $50,000, okay, which would not affect my standard of living if I lost it, but which could potentially turn into 300,000 in a very short period of time. Okay, no guarantees that it will, but could. Okay, would that 300,000 be meaningful to my future standard of living in retirement? Yes. Okay, so it's this upside downside skew, not that meaningful if I lose it, but the potential returns, not guaranteed, but potential, are so huge in this sort of an environment that I think you're a fool if you don't invest, assuming that you have risk capital. Okay, that is the key. All right. All right. So, and when you do that, by the way, it's really important that you don't fall in love with the merchandise. So investing in a bubble like this is a little bit like having a lion for a pet, right? Any moment it could turn on you. And for that reason, let's talk about my third thing that I believe and have believed and have practiced, and have advised my clients on, for over 20 years. And that is that we do no research on the assets that we invest in. We do not read the news. We don't even watch the price. No peeking. Okay. no reading white papers. No, everybody says, oh, do your research. Don't invest in this if you don't understand the underlying technology. That's bullshit. Actually, not only is it unnecessary, it's actually unhealthy and unhelpful. And that is because of one of our first principles of investing, which is that fear and greed are it's not the price, it's not, none of this matters, okay, in the short run, but your reaction to what you see and what you read matters a lot, okay? So Benjamin Graham, who's one of the fathers of value investing, who was Warren Buffett's mentor, right? He said that the market is like a voting machine, tallying up which firms are popular and unpopular in the short run. But in the long run, it's like a weighing machine assessing the substance of a company, okay? So what's true in markets over any time horizon that you and I are going to invest in, and especially in a market, in a bubble, an investable bubble that we know is going to burst, right? And we know we're not going to be in for very long. We hope that we'll be in it for a long time, but the sane crypto philosophy is, well, actually my philosophy in general is you always hope for the best and plan for the worst, right? So we're planning to get out of this thing at the first sign of trouble. So with that in mind, we have to know that this market is being driven completely by sentiment. It has absolutely no connection to fundamentals in any sort of time period that we're interested in, years, okay? So certainly not ours. And for you to spend time trying to tie it to some fundamentals is one, a waste of time that I don't know about you, but I don't have. And two, as I said, it's really unhelpful because, people who have to sell advertising on their news site are going to be including CNBC or whomever, are going to be putting all these articles about when you should do this and, this new company. And all it does is cause your monkey brain to want to act. And the key to this is to not act until certain triggers that you've decided on in advance are triggered, and then you do act, right? But that's the key. And so I always advise, and it's the hardest thing for my clients to do, don't watch, don't research. We don't care what the company does. We don't care about any of that. All we care about is it going up, and can we make money from it? Okay, which does not come from technical analysis or any of those other things. All right, so you may be then thinking, well, how do we decide which one to invest in? So I wasn't planning to talk about this, but just very, very quickly. So my investment system actually is driven by 5 questions that you must answer while you are sane. And by sane, here, I actually have this up on my browser. I can show you. Okay, that is our investment system. And you'll notice over on the right-hand side in the middle, on acquire, at the moment that you have any money in the market, you become legally insane, okay? So all of your decisions about when you get in, how much you're going to invest, in what, and at what point you're going to get out, okay? Those are the 5 questions, by the way, that regardless of whether you're investing in crypto or anything, must be answered when you're sane, and then followed, right? We follow them while we are insane, which means as long as we have money at risk. Okay, so we decide all that down in the bottom left during here in the trade plan, right down here, and then once we become insane, which is here, we just follow them. Now, the reason for showing you this is, so the question may be, well, if we don't read and we don't research and we don't care about any of the news that comes out, and that's because we're insane and our brain can't process it in any rational form, nor is it necessary anyway. But regardless, how do we decide what we're going to buy and how much of each? That's one of the 5 questions that's decided down here in the trade plan. And so here is how we do it. And one is so there's 5 criteria. Okay, one is which of these have the clearest, most obvious use case. 2, Okay, and this is really important in terms of planning for the worst. Which has the deepest, what has the deepest liquidity? Where are the smart money, meaning Wall Street, going? Always follow the smart money, right? To do otherwise, because they have so much money sloshing around, right? One hedge fund is the largest hedge fund is bigger than the entire market cap of the entire crypto market. When that money comes in, it's like trying to swim up Niagara Falls. So you never, ever want to be going against the smart money. And then, three is, which have the potentials for hedging mechanisms, which right now none of them do, because these are very embryonic markets. But who futures and options and various things like that, as well as alternative investments, which are the ones that are most likely going to be allowed in IRAs and things like that. Okay, and notice that none of those have anything to do with white papers and underlying technologies, and the future value of the companies, or the future profitability of the companies. All of this is completely sentiment driven in the short run. And so what we invest in and how much is totally based on, like I said earlier, that same crypto philosophy of hope for the best, but plan for the worst. Okay. Let's see. Oh, and just one other comment I would just make about this, as long as I'm on the topic, of the system. So the way that this system kind of works is it's the steps that we take, and the answers to all of those five questions, right? Which this is just basically a system for implementing the answers to those 5 questions. Those 5 questions are informed by 2 different things. One is our worldview, okay? And my worldview is, on this chart, that this is an investable bubble that may last one day, it may last a year, it may last 10 years, but it is an investable bubble. Because I also, part of our first principles, right, which is the other thing that informs the answers, to those questions, is that this time is never different. Okay. And hence, like all other bubbles, this one will burst, right? But so the answers to, those 5 questions are informed for us, by the combination of the worldview and our first principles of investing, which, by the way, if you're interested in those, you can find them at sanecrypto.com, roadmap, system, first principles. And then the system is just the means of carrying out the answers to those questions, in the right order and in a way that our brains are least likely to sabotage. Okay? So was that helpful? I hope. If it was, and you'd like to be notified when I do these live broadcasts, which I do every weekday at roughly around this time, Monday through Friday, then go to sanecrypto.com/live. And the bot will sign you up for notifications. You can unsubscribe anytime. If you don't find these helpful. Also, if you'd like to learn more about the Sane crypto system, you can see it up here. It's just sanecrypto.com. In fact, let me get off of that. And I want you to remember, okay, as I say all the time, and must, right? Disclaimer, that everything that I have said is for educational purposes only. Nothing should be construed as investment advice. All past performance is no guarantee of future results, right? And all investments involve risk, especially this one could go to zero tomorrow. So do not, under any circumstances, invest money that you cannot afford to lose. I really, really, really appreciate your listening. I'll be back again tomorrow with another installment of Sane Crypto Live. Until then, I want you to remember, okay, you are the biggest impediment to making money in the markets, not the market itself. Fear and greed cause you to do the exact opposite of what it is that you should be doing. And the way that you control fear and greed is a sane system decided on in advance and repeated over and over again, no matter what your monkey brain says. I hope that helps. I'm Kim Hughes of sanecrypto.com. Catch you next time.